episode of Professional Hippies. Today, we're going deep. Glenn, give me a close-up. Closer. Deep. We got Abby Rogers in the house. Shout out to Abby.
Hello, everyone.
If you don't know her, you will by the end of this podcast. This is going to be a very intimate, very special episode. We have an intimacy coach.
Yeah, baby.
Am I saying that correctly?
You are saying that correctly, yes.
Yeah, so if you don't know us, we're the Professional Hippies. We like to talk about a whole spectrum of things. Professional things, hippie things, try and bridge the gap between some woo-woo and what's the other side of woo?
I don't know. The professional who, contracts.
So we'll hit you guys a little intro. We'll be back after our sponsors. All right, boys, let's remember our training. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends. We are some hippies, these are my friends. Come along with me, see how the story ends.
It's catchy.
Sure.
It'll grow on you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Everyone else got used to it. You'll be fine.
I've heard it quite a few times, and it just never gets old.
That's the cliches. They never do get old.
It's very unique.
Especially waking Luke up every time.
Every time.
Every time.
That's the thing. I mean, we thought we'd revamp it, and we still might, but...
It's there right now, you know?
So let's talk about sex.
Sex, baby.
How's that sound?
Cess.
What?
Sex backwards.
Oh, I thought you said
That's my attempt.
incest.
Sure, we can get there.
I mean, we don't have to.
I prefer not to.
Okay, well, if you got some closets and, some skeletons in there.
Coming out of the closet.
Yeah, mayonnaise. No, so, I mean, for anybody who doesn't know, I mean, I get the fortunate honor of being the one lay next to you every night. But, hey, I think where I would want to start this is what got you into wanting to actually, like, be a lighthouse for other women, for wanting to be so open and vocal about sex. Like, I know whether it's a man or a woman, like, that's just something that's going to catch everybody's attention.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very taboo thing to talk about. So imagine, like, going on social media and telling people, like, yo, you can masturbate and manifest at the same time. Talk about, like, an eye turner. I grew up in a very sex-positive house, though. Like, we always talked about sex. I mean, you got to kind of see that the other night. Yeah. So.
Way to meet the parents, dude.
Talking about anal. It's fine. That's
right.
how I ruptured my mom's appendix. Yeah, I mean, I've always just, like.
True story.
True story, yeah.
That's coming up a little bit later for sure.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, for my family, it's never been a taboo thing to talk about. It's always been just very casual. I mean, my mom was a teenage mom. She had me at 17. So what a better way to not have your daughter also be a teenage mom? Like, let's talk about sex. Let's be open about it. So, I mean, in high school, I would talk about it. And people would be like, why are you talking about sex? And I'm like, why aren't you talking about sex? Like, you're having sex. So what's the problem with it? And then, yeah, I learned that you could masturbate and manifest. And here we are. Now I help people release the shame around having sex.
So did you know about that, by the way? You follow her on the socials?
Yeah, I follow her podcast, yeah. And I follow her on socials. Someone
Yeah.
make me laugh where she's like, masturbate in public. I mean, do you, girl?
I mean, hey, you got to do what you got to do, right? You really got to manifest that flight. Got to get that connection.
And I agree.
Flight.
I agree. I think probably with 100% of it, it's just some of it gets out there. And I'm like, hey, get out.
But that's the thing is, like, it's taboo, right? That, like, people, like, I mean, everyone enjoys having sex, but if God forbid you talk about it.
Yeah, I loved where I'm at today, but in like high school, going to the super Christian school, they're like, room for Jesus. Keep it
Like
3
dances
feet.
and stuff?
Yeah, we didn't even have dances.
Really?
Yeah, we didn't have dances. They're like, nope, can't sit next. You couldn't sit next to each other when we had like our chapel time. Had to keep a Bible between you, like Bible space during like cafeteria time.
And that's where teenage parents happen.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Not talking about it
100%.
enough.
Most of my friends for sure came out with kids.
Yeah, it's like when your parents tell you like, "Hey, don't do this." You're like, "Oh, but I really want to do it." So like, it just makes you want to do it more.
Sex and drugs. I mean, if you're uneducated, of course you're going to do stuff you shouldn't do.
Yeah. Why are they telling me not to do this? That's the thing I want to do.
Well, it's just kind of ironic in society in general that, like, okay, it's cool to have a half-naked person on a billboard, but God forbid you talk about, like, safe sex as opposed to abstinence.
Mm-hmm.
Like, isn't that the number one thing that they're trying to push in schools is abstinence, like waiting, as opposed to like,
100%.
true sex education? I mean, yeah. When did you guys watch your sex education course? Like, was it 5th grade, 6th grade?
Not even. I don't think I watched mine until like 8th grade.
I didn't even have it until I dual enrolled in college, and then I was in college while in high school. Then I got it. Like I would have never gotten it unless I went to the sex education class in college.
All right, well, go Panama City. I got mine in 5th grade.
Yeah, never would have. That tape would have never even come near me until I got out of high school.
How old were you when you watched your first porn?
Oh, that was like 10, 11 for sure. Like that world opened up, and I was like about it. Like sneaking on computers, like the family
100%.
one.
About it.
100%.
I don't know what this thing does, but I'm going to touch it till it does something.
I was like, you know, before you go to bed, you turn the volume down on the computer. So when you come back to turn it on at night, like the parents didn't hear it uploading, dialing up.
Sneaky.
Oh, yeah. I was doing everything I could, especially when I got to the grandparents' house for family vacations. Then they had the high speed
Hell yeah.
internet, baby.
No buffer. Fuck yeah.
That was my favorite time of year.
Well, yeah, it's funny because Abbey, so you grew up in a very sex positive household. I mean, I don't know. I didn't grow up in a sex negative household, but it was like a bachelor pad. So my sex education was the pornos next to the toilet. I mean, we're seeing my brothers come home with multiple women and, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that makes more sense. I mean, my oldest sibling, my stepsister's 9 years older than me, very quiet, reserved, and I was always a loud, outgoing one. So she's not really sneaking boys in or watching porn or anything like that. So I definitely didn't have that experience.
But back to the manifestation thing to connect the dots for everyone else. Like, okay, so there's like being open and talking about sex, but then you have manifestation. Like, where's the bridge here?
Manifestation pleasure portal. So what it is, I mean, I think that this is the most taboo thing to talk about other than just sex, is like encouraging people like, hey, masturbate, but use it with intention, saying like an affirmation, like, are you trying to attract money, like your dream partner, like what does that look like? And then as you're masturbating, basically what's happening is your whole body is surrendering because your body doesn't feel pain during sex. Like when girls like their hair pulled or, you know, being spanked or something like that, the pain of it's gone. So the reason why you're able to manifest while you're masturbating is because you release all the pain. So you're in full surrender. On the woo-woo term, like your chakras are all aligned. When you have an orgasm, it goes through your crown chakra and boom, you're sending out to the universe. Like your whole body, like think about it. Like when you have an orgasm, have you ever had like your body, like it feels like it's vibrating?
100%.
Yeah, it's that high vibrations of the energy. So like you're in such high energy, positive energy, no pain. So you're able to just manifest easily.
That toe curling manifestation, baby.
$1 million.
Yes. Yeah, man. I mean, I learned about that in May. Started using it for a month. Month later, I manifested all 3 things that I was manifesting. And I was like, oh, fuck, this is insane. Told a couple people about it. You know, they were like, you got to tell more people. And I was like, I don't know how comfortable I am going on my social media and talking about how I'm masturbating and manifesting. So that was super uncomfortable. But as soon as I did that, people responded extremely well. And then one thing led to another. And here I am as an intimacy coach.
But that's the thing is that, like, I'm glad you said it that way, that it was uncomfortable.
Yeah, it was so fucking
right. It wasn't something that you were just like, oh, let me just put this out there.
No, like who is excited to tell people like, yeah, man. As a female, like here's the thing, like men, it's very common and it's very encouraged for men to masturbate or like have sex with a lot of females. It's not like that for women. They're like, oh, you masturbate, like you touch yourself, like it's just a shameful thing. So being a woman and going on your social media and having all these people seeing that, but then also seeing like the positive reaction made me feel good. But when I was live, probably my voice was so shaky if you were to go back and watch that. I was like, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing?
Did you ever get any like negative? I could only feel like there was just all positive.
No, I've never had a single negative comment. I've only
Really?
had positive. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that is kind of surprising though. You would think like somebody would be like Jesus.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Yeah,
Put yourself out there. Your
talk
job's
to-
going to hate
Save
you.
room for Jesus.
Like, this is my job.
right.
It's my job. Yeah, I mean, you tell random people, they definitely give you like looks, and you're like, no, like we all do it. Why are you giving looks? Like,
Yeah, I love when these conversations come up and then they get, upset about it. It's like, tell me you don't masturbate right now. Just tell me.
Like,
Bold face, tell me you don't do it.
Yeah, like even flying to Florida, I had the most interesting conversation with a man, probably like in his 50s. And he's asking what I was doing for work, and I told him, I was like, oh, I'm an intimacy coach. Kind of telling him about it, and he's like, can you send me your ebook? I'm actually like really interested in what you have to offer. But at first, like super standoffish. But then he thought it was the coolest thing.
But I especially love it for women because, like, speak from personal experience. It's really difficult when you're with a woman that doesn't want to fully surrender. And it just creates this tension because it's like, for me as a man, like I get off on the woman getting off. Like that's the thing that's like very intoxicating. It's like, it's a dual experience, right? But you can feel that block. Like if a woman's not pleasuring herself, doesn't even have to be on a regular basis. If a woman doesn't allow herself to fully feel herself by herself, comfortable in her own skin, how's another man ever supposed to like help you get anywhere?
Yeah, I mean, my favorite analogy is like, how are you going to teach someone to play the flute if you don't know how to play the flute?
It's a good one.
Like, you can't teach someone how to pleasure you if you don't know how to pleasure yourself. It's like asking a blind man to come in, like, hey, sir, will you pleasure me? Like, you can't even pleasure yourself. How are you gonna lead the blind to what you want? You can't.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what is it like? I don't want to throw data out for throwing the data out, but it's only, I mean, there is like a very real like 10% of women that cannot have an orgasm.
75% of women do not have an orgasm through penetration. Very common. So, I mean, for a lot of women, but they also don't realize that because, once again, we're really
Is
not
that
taught.
is that because of how their body works, or is that just because of the lover that they're with is not learning how they?
So there's a couple things that go
They're
into
able to go
that.
about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things. So one of the biggest one is like the way the vagina is as a whole. Like if you actually take it out, it's like all these multiple different parts where like guys, like you just have a penis, like and some balls. Like it's much easier
There's
to
a lot of
navigate.
nerve nerve endings in that head.
There definitely is, but
Yeah, there's some
And
complication.
your ass.
Yeah,
Lot of
there's a
nerves
little
in that ass,
complication
boy.
going on there.
the G spot is in the man's ass. So like
Sometimes
but
it grows, sometimes it doesn't. You know,
sometimes you just hang out with it.
Ass?
well, I mean, it can. Some squats, you make it work.
Amen, brother.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of the time when women self-pleasure, they're also trying to use like vibrators and all these other different things. And I'm like, that's not what's going to help you. Like, that's what I talk to a lot of my clients about. They're like, I'm struggling to reach that peak orgasm. And I'm like, okay, well, tell me what you're doing. And a lot of times they're like, oh, I'm using like vibrator, I'm using some kind of toy. And I'm like, get rid of that and use your hand.
Do you think the toys for women are kind of like the porn for men? Like you become
Good question.
Yeah.
susceptible to that only, really?
Well, and I think it's because women aren't really taught how their bodies work. Like they're not really taught like the different nerve endings of your vagina and like how you can actually get off. So like the clit is a huge thing for a woman. That's where all the nerve is. So like that is why like women joke around all the time like, oh, I can't find the clit. It's like my inner thigh. Because like most of the time women don't know where it is. So how are they going to lead a man to know where that is?
Mm-hmm.
Men aren't given this whole sex education. Be like, here's the vagina. You're going to go here to pleasure a woman, a little bit up here, a little bit down here. And then, you know, you can have sex with her afterwards when she's aroused.
Imagine if that was. I wonder if the world would be a happier place.
Oh my God, it'd be so much happier. So many more women.
Wars would be over.
Done.
Yeah.
Worse would be over. Is that what you said? Dylan's got this like Biden deal, like a sweeping national world agenda of
My
re-educating men.
campaign is on finding the clit.
Yeah, amen, brother. Where is it?
You know, I think a lot of men would be like, sign me up. Like, I would love to learn.
Instead of economy, like your whole thing is like, we're going to do a PowerPoint. Just point
Well,
it out
I mean,
where it's at.
It also kind of comes back to like the gusto of like a man is celebrated for sleeping and penetrating as many women as possible, not for pleasuring a woman, right? And so it's like it's just misaligned, you know. Whereas like a woman like really just craves like intimacy and security and safety, and you know there's thoughts out there for sure too. But
Well, yeah. And I mean, a lot of the questions I get also from men is, why does my girlfriend, my wife, or my partner, why do they want to cuddle afterwards? Like, why are they so touchy? And it's the biggest reason is that women produce more oxytocin in our brain, which is like that cuddly connecting chemical where men are just like, nah, I'm good. Thanks. So like that's important for men to understand. It's like she's not being needy. She's just the chemical she's producing in her brain. Like that's a very common thing for women. And if any woman's like, thanks, bye. Now there's a part of them that like wants that love and affection, whether they actually love the person or not, which is fine, but they want some of the affection.
And men are just built like move on to the next.
Well, that's what society has taught them.
Yeah.
Society's like, go fuck her, get your nut, and peace out. Like, sex is not a, like, A to B. It's an A to Z. Like, it's a journey. It's supposed to be enjoyed. It's not supposed to be, you know, just have your orgasm and be done. Like, it should be fun.
On your journey, have you noticed, like, different countries, men and women react differently? Like, let's say, for example, like what you're saying, men don't really want to go through the snuggle. Most men after that, right? Yeah. But then, I don't know, I'm stereotypical. You go to France, right? And, like, the love country.
Lovers.
Are the men kind of, have they been brought up and have built that DNA to want to do the snuggling more afterwards?
It's definitely a society thing.
Yeah.
I mean, French men are typically taught to like court a female. Like, you know, like wine and dine her, like take care of her, like treat her like she is this goddess. Where pretty much in America, men are just look at women as objects and someone to sleep with the majority of the time.
Watch me shotgun this beer. Goes a long way.
You want to see me shotgun this beer? Then I'll fuck you. Like, yeah.
Right.
That's what's going to get you going, girl.
God, watching so many different, like, ways men, like, courted women in college, you know? Just, like, the different styles. Like, there was the, like, nice guy definitely took, like, did that route. There was the one that was, like, loud energy, and then he just wanted everyone to look at him, and somehow he ended up with someone by the end of the night. At that point, it was just interesting seeing that, the different ways of doing it, coming from like a very Christian background where you're like, all right, like we go on a date, the parents are there, you know, the parents are there watching, we're at the movies, they're sitting right behind you. All right, that's the first stage, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, men actually struggle to be alone more than women do. So like that's why typically like men, when they jump from like relationship to relationship faster than women do, because men don't know how to be alone. That is a scientific proven fact. In the sense of like men fall faster than women do. They won't show it because it's a sign of weakness, but the way that all your genetics are, you fall faster.
I feel villainized. I feel attacked.
Attacked.
You said, and sorry, I couldn't hear you. You said fall or follow faster? Fall.
Yeah.
Got it.
In love.
Yeah.
Smacked by the stork, dog. Wait, Cupid, not the stork. That's a baby.
That's because like you don't want to be alone, so then everything's coming out like, oh, I gotta go find somebody, and then you're doing everything you can to try to make that happen.
Think about identity, right? Like it's like your ego as a man is wrapped up in your identity of how others perceive you, right? So if you don't have a woman, especially like a woman that other men envy, then you consider yourself to be less than, right? Versus like really taking some time, like, I mean, that was the biggest thing I learned, just being celibate at the beginning of this year. For a couple months, just taking like a couple months, taking women all the way off the table and being like, okay, how do I feel alone by myself? Like what's coming up there, right? And I mean, that is a very big thing that like men, we don't learn. That a big tipping point, you said something earlier that triggered this. Shout out to Sam. When I went and backpacked and met Sam in Thailand, Sam, I can't throw him under the bus, but the man has a way with ladies where I was like, what the fuck is going on? And he recommended a book to me, Attracting Women Through Emotion. Same guy that wrote The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Mark Manson. And that was in that book. If you're a man listening to this podcast, I highly, highly recommend that book, especially if you're single, even if you're not, because it's all about being very real and authentic. You know, that like throw the games out the window and like just express how you really feel, especially if it's a cringy emotion. That is what women really want to hear. They want to see like a man, to me, is someone that feels fear and moves in that headwind regardless. Like that's courage, right? Like courage does not exist. I was telling this to a client the other day, like you can't be courageous unless you feel fear. It's not in the absence of fear that courage is born. It's with fear that courage is born. And that, I think, is like really the seed of where a beautiful relationship can be planted, is in like feeling awkward feelings, expressing yourself authentically, and just being real. And that's going to attract or deflect your ideal situation.
That's how BDSM was created.
Nailed it.
100%.
Paddle me, daddy.
Excuse me, honey, I just want to be open with you. See this belt I wear every day? Can you slap me with it?
Just one time.
Just one time.
Only leather wrist
She's
cuffs.
like, that got you hard?
None of the cloth.
You're like, oh,
Only
yeah.
leather.
Those real buckles, huh, babe?
Yeah, real buckles.
Real buckles.
None of that Velcro shit.
None
It just,
of
the
that Velcro shit.
Velcro just slips off, and then I'm trying for my dear life to fix it, and then it just falls off, and then it's just, you got to fix it.
Yeah.
Velcros really stay on there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I hate leather in general.
And they have that, like, click. You know? It's just not, it's like, you gotta click. It's a little different, you know?
For sure.
Oh man, those are all good points. But I mean, what? Because you've been doing like Worse Wednesdays and stuff,
Yeah.
right? And
So good.
so since you've been doing this, babe, like what are some of the ahas that you've had that you didn't see coming?
People do not, a lot of people don't know what, to me, what I think is basic sex knowledge, so many people don't know.
Yeah, like what?
I think the biggest one is the female body and how it works. Like, it has been so amazing to have so many women reach out to me in a sense of like their body, one of like self-love, but then two, when they come to me in regards of masturbation, they don't know how it works. Men, they don't really understand how like their women work, so then they come to me and they're like, can you help me with like this guiding? And a lot of it is like very simple things like the oxytocin. Like, I get that question all the time, like, why does she want to cuddle me, or why won't he cuddle me? It's just, and to me, like, I think that's very basic. But once again, like, that's something that I grew up learning about.
Mm-hmm. Or, I mean, like being very honest with yourself about your sex drive.
Yeah. It's your accelerators and your brakes. Like, what turns you on? But here's the thing. A lot of people don't realize what actually turns them on because they're not paying attention. Like, I don't know. Have y'all seen the Netflix show Sex, Love, and Goop?
I have.
Yeah. Oh, you got to watch it. It's so good. Even in there, I was watching it, and I was like, holy fuck, I know a lot more than I thought I did. Because they're teaching people a lot of the basics of, like, what turns people on. Like, kink isn't necessarily, like, kinky, like BDSM. Sometimes it's just, like, the simple touch. Maybe it's being blindfolded with these different touches. Like, your senses are arousing. And I think that's crazy, like, learning to, like, have self-love. So, like, the way I tell people, have more self-love. Look in the mirror, whether you're naked or not. I recommend naked to start, but I know that's difficult. And just say, I love you 3 times every single time you pass a mirror. Eventually, you have to learn to actually love yourself because you're seeing yourself for all that you are.
Yeah, and that's something like, have you done that before? You just looked in the mirror and said, I love you?
100%, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, man, when I started doing that, I was like, oh, shit, there's stuff coming up here.
I did that when I was going through, like, my self-help build-up. Like, I was, just struggling in life, and I started reading all these books, and if I was having a bad day, I'm sitting in the car, like, today's going to be a fucking great day. I love you, man. You're going to do great. And, like, then I started doing that with, when I started working out, you're seeing that things change. Like, you're doing fucking good, man.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Reminds me of that bathroom experience I had at EDC. That was a fucking religious experience, man. I stand by that. I literally had to, there's a lot of self-love that came out in that bathroom at that moment where I was like, hey, buddy, you're okay.
EDC was awesome.
EDC was great.
Glad we did that.
Yeah, big fan.
Big fan of that. Wow. I see why everyone, a worldwide thing, all the money put into it, like typical festival. That's what that is. I see why a lot of people, it's their first ones too.
Oh,
like,
but doing VIP too. Game changer.
Worth it. Like, did you see the picture?
Changer.
Who posted the picture in the group
Ashley,
chat?
yeah.
And it was like so crowded, all the open space.
Dude, it was insane.
nice.
Because remember, we were in the main crowd for Blunts and Blondes, and then it just like crept in, and
Sardine can was coming.
Abby's like, man, it's getting kind of tight in here.
Let's go over there.
And I was like, dude, fuck
that
this.
was my first festival. I would
Wow.
only do VIP.
I forgot it was your first too.
That was my first one,
all the
yeah.
focus was on Ashley being hers, but
I was having a great time. I didn't give her.
It was definitely worth VIP, but then sometimes you go to these like 3-day festivals and they're like VIP $2,000, and you're like,
yeah,
it's pretty nice now.
I mean, I don't know, like that. That's worth
It was definitely worth it at these parking lot festivals. 100% worth it.
Yeah,
like because we got really close. We got all the little perks that came with it. Having that bathroom right there, you'd have to
Free
fight through the
snacks.
crowd. Free I've never seen that at a
Snacks
festival.
are what got me. That frozen fruit was exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
We did, weren't you with me when we got VIP at Bonnaroo? Some dude was just like, fuck it. Just
No, we got VIP bathrooms. That's what we did.
No, for fish or some shit. No, it wasn't fish. Whatever. I might have been with Luke, maybe.
I think you were with Luke. Because I got VIP. The only thing I got in VIP at the Bonnaroo with was the shitters. Which
it was for Lord. Because they put Lord in the middle of the day. Wow. And I was like, what the fuck? And I don't remember who was with us, but I was like, I'm going to see Lord. It was the first time I ever took MDMA. Royals was on, and I was in Athens with Luke. And we were... I don't remember whose
song.
I don't remember whose apartment we were at, but I was like, it was the first time, it was maybe the third or fourth time he'd ever done MMA. So we're like very new to this whole thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I'm just not feeling it. He's like, dude, I promise you it's going to hit. And I was like, okay. And went out to the balcony and just like looked out, and it was like a baseball bat hit my retinas. I mean, it was just, and everything shattered. And then here comes Lord.
Yeah.
Just rolling through my ears. And like every time I hear that song, I just get like those goosebumps of that moment. I was like, I'm going to see fucking Lord. And there was maybe 3,000 people. I was like,
anytime I think of Lord, I think of the South Park episode when Randy was Lord.
Do you still watch that part?
I haven't in a while, but that reminded me of that when it turns out Lord is Randy from South Park.
Anytime someone references South Park, I'm like, I wish I'd stayed up with it. South Park is such a good show.
Such a good
specials.
show. Oh, they're so good.
They kill it. Everything they do.
Park.
Yeah.
Oh, this is my favorite.
Yeah. Someone dressed at Halloween as Mr. Towley and Mr. Poopy.
Yeah.
Like full costume, too.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, wow. That's commitment on that one.
Yeah, man. I think I think I'm sold on the VIP moving forward. I think that's a move that
we gotta up ourselves. You know, we're doing better in life.
That's
it's time.
the thing.
It's ready.
Abundance, baby.
Yeah. Put it out there.
You know, it's at some points you got to realize here it's like, yeah, I work way too fucking hard to not treat myself. You know, what am I doing with this fucking money anyway?
Halloween, you get like food that comes with it. Like they have a buffet of like food. Yeah. They're cooking it all the time for you. So like some of them have like their own special type of VIP. Like that was the least packed VIP I've ever seen.
Yeah.
At a festival, which surprisingly EDC, but also not surprised how many people are just going that can afford VIP, or also how many people
we were also at
like,
the other stage, not the main stage. So maybe at the main stage is because it started to get pretty packed out at the main stage VIP area.
That's true. Yeah, because that line did get pretty long after a little while.
Oh, but getting out of that jungle, holy shit, that was madness. That was absolutely.
That was a landlock trying to get out of that.
That was
y'all barrel through,
world.
and I'm just like, y'all go, and I got Glenn and Josh or Eddie and Josh, and Eddie's like, I can't see him. I'm like, you won't.
I mean, for everyone listening, like
they're gone, buddy. Don't worry about
nut
it.
to butt is not the fucking term. I mean, it was like Astro World 2.0, and that was the scary feelings that everyone started like. You could feel that energy of Mad Cow, and everyone's thinking of Astro World, and like, is this the fucking end right here? You know.
It was interesting because I did have that feeling of like I could barrel through this if I really, really needed to. But then I look down and there is like a small chick right next to me, and I'm like, you're having a bad time right now.
Yeah. Oh, especially everyone at nipple height.
Yeah.
You're like, ooh, boy.
That's not fun.
You ever seen the sheepdogs, shepherds?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they run on the backs of the sheep.
Mm-hmm.
So I swear to God, I had this thought go through my head. I was like, if things got hairy, and then I remembered Abby's right behind me. I'm like, fuck, I got to die too. Like that was the thought. That was the thought that went through my head. I was like, I can't be no bitch ass motherfucker that's just gonna.
Hey, Abby, ever played the hopscotch before?
Dude, I would go up and out, up and fucking out.
Your back and held on like a tight ass koala. I can do it.
You were already there. I mean, it was tight ass koalas the whole way through that motherfucker.
I would have just told everyone like, hey, everyone grab somebody and start walking that way. Like just you start bulldozing that way.
It was just very interesting that we could not organize a left and right, forward and back.
Because everyone was coming from the main stage was coming towards. There's an exit on that side.
They were coming right down the pipe.
We're missing the very important part that there was an exit by the stage we were at. We just completely missed it.
Yeah, we just didn't go take it.
I think we need to point out the obvious here as well.
No, it's on us. For sure.
It's completely on us.
First EDC mistake.
I'm not deflecting responsibility. I'm accepting of that. I'm just saying that was
someone
a fucked
like
up
opens
situation
up like, oh, VIP exit right over here.
Completely missed it. Didn't
we give you
look
free handbag. Good, have a great night.
Yeah. Well, the people around me were having a pretty good energy because once we accepted it, I was like, if I just feed these people jokes, they won't kill me. The
best part was like someone was like, man, this is a great analogy for I-4. We're all in it together.
God, that traffic on the way there, man.
Man. And then someone, like, there was a couple of fights that started to break out around us, and everyone was like, nah, like, we're not doing that. Like, they started opening up, and then people, like, closed in on that. Like, we're not going to have that, guys.
Yeah, I mean, because it's like, what are you fighting for? How do you have
like,
such a beautiful day?
Look up. Look at the lights. Look at the lights.
Chill.
Enjoy your drugs. Don't let the drugs enjoy you.
Yeah, no doubt, right? I looked over at Dylon one point during the festival, and I was like, how do you think that war on drugs is going?
I was like,
Drugs won.
drugs won.
100% they won.
Currently winning.
Like
and
the cops came out into the VIP, looked around, and I was like, what are you looking for?
Yeah, what are you looking for over
They
here?
really did. They
Anywhere.
looked like they were looking for someone.
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
know who, but
Came out like, yeah, this is what we thought. Yep,
Yeah.
checks
they acted
out.
like they gave a fuck and they peaced out.
You know, 100,000
Enjoy
people
your
just
drugs, kids. Be safe.
Everyone, yeah, have a
Drink your
DD,
water.
drink your water. It's kind of like over here, right? Where that house that like they know it, it's there. They keep
A trap
control.
house?
Yeah, that trap house.
Yeah.
They know it's there because you talk to the cops about it. They're like, yeah, we know it's there. We know we can control that. The same thing
they don't
with-
control shit.
Well, they know it's there, right? So
Right.
it's like festivals. It's like, yeah, we know everyone here is fucked up. We can't just go pulling people over. Left
You know,
and
I have
right.
thought about that the other night. I reached a fucking boiling point, but I was like, whatever, I'm moving. But I was like, I wanted to call the non-emergency line and be like, hey guys, like I'm legitimately curious. What the fuck is going on here? and then I sat with it. I kid you not, I got back from the gym and I sat in the car and I thought about this for about 5 minutes. I just fucking sat there with my thoughts and I was like, you know what? I bet what it is whatever they're supplying is clean enough that it's not killing people.
Oh yeah.
100%.
You know, if there was fentanyl on their shit, they would shut that down immediately.
I wonder if when there is a fentanyl outbreak in a city, if they go to all the houses, like they send an undercover in the houses to buy and test, just to
make
see
sure
where
it's clean.
where it's coming from.
Well, they can trace it. Yeah, absolutely. They're tracing these drugs. I mean, you got to look like when someone's getting pinched, they got nothing to live for anyway, and they're sitting with 15 years in front of them. Like, yeah, they're gonna rat on who their little middleman fish is, right?
Mhm.
And then that dude's facing 25, 50. Yeah, he's gonna give up the next guy.
Oh, it just gets higher and higher.
Yeah,
The higher you
so
go
they're
up.
able to trace where the shit's coming from pretty fucking quick.
Mhm.
You know, when my buddy had the meltdown and showed up here and brought all his stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what he started. He started to feel this pressure. It was a very real pressure because his guy was like, hey man, let me turn you on to what I'm doing. And he had 4 houses in the area that he just rotated between, 4 phones that he rotated between. And so like, you know, he was making so much money, he didn't know what to do with it.
Oh,
But like, he's like, I mean, this is my life, you know? So he's stacking money away for when he gets caught and he'll come out, you know, 10 years later and have a couple mil. But it's
that's
like,
rough.
What a way to do it.
where do you cap it? You know what I'm saying? Like once you get in the game, because let's say you get in the game and you're like, man, it would be sick to have $1 million, right? And then that $1 million comes and you go, well, a couple more flips and I could get 5,
I get 5 mil.
right?
Then we're Pablo Escobar.
I was going to say, what would that be like trying to get out of it? Be like, hey, man, I made $1 million. I'm good. Thanks for the fun. I don't want to sell you drugs anymore. I don't think that would go over well.
It doesn't.
I wonder if there are people out there that do that. There's
I'm sure
more
they
than we
try.
think about, that people do get to that and then they just dip out, hand it off to somebody else.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
change
what
their
happened to my
whole
buddy.
identity.
He like politely was like, yo, like I'm cool. And then he started to lean in. He had to disconnect all of his accounts, shut shit down. I mean, you're talking about like reinventing yourself because to get to that point, your years of middlemaning and just dealing with, you know, little penny deals and shit. You know, once you're at that level, like you've taken on a new identity. So you're giving up part of your identity.
You start getting employees.
Yeah.
The drug
Runners.
world.
Yeah, runners, dude.
Benefits. Like,
You know?
it's-
You
Jesus.
get insurance.
Yeah,
You
you all
insurance.
get all of y'all insurance.
W-2, baby.
Here's $5,000. Get you some good stuff.
Dude,
Good
you
insurance.
were right, by the way. That bill did pass where everything over $500 has to be reported.
Yeah,
Isn't that crazy?
that is nuts.
What? I can't believe that went through. What's the fucking objective? You know something's up when the bankers are like, don't do that.
Oh yeah, the IRS is. I mean, they're just another way to get you. That's what they're trying to do. Now they're going to look at all your like Venmo accounts and everything. Like,
Well, I didn't know that Coinbase is also now a federally regulated service. So they can dip into your Coinbase account just the same way they can a Venmo or any of your other credit lines. They can see what's going on in there.
it was bound to happen eventually. Like,
Well,
unfortunately,
I don't think
I think
Binance
it's
is on
silly.
that list.
Like, what if you, let's say, for instance, you know, we have the house. I got to pay for a portion of the mortgage. I got to Venmo it to you. What are they going to do about that? Be like, oh, sorry, you have to get taxed on this. Like, no, you just owe someone money.
Well, it's a reporting, right? So I mean, like, technically you're supposed to be reporting it anyway, right? But I'm not an accountant.
Now they have the legal, like, no one's really going to report it. But
Right.
legally, if they came and audited you, they would go,
Right.
give us your Venmo. Like,
Yeah.
we legally can get into that now.
I think that is such an extra step in the process. Like, just fuck off.
Yeah, well, that right there, that thing you just said is why people need to fucking vote.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the whole thing. I don't give a shit. Well, you give a shit when the man starts levying taxes. You give a shit when you got to get fucking vaccines and you didn't want vaccines. Like,
Like, Johnny, it looks like you transferred $2,000 at a Space Odyssey. Tell us about that. What's going on there?
you know, but that's the thing about playing this game is that, like, this is the game we set up. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, go out and do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like when people get all doom and gloom, I'm like, dude, the game's fine. It's rigged for the people to win. And it doesn't have to be the loudest voices. You can just have a grassroots conversation.
Just takes a while
It
to get through
does,
it. Just takes a while to get through it.
you know, but like it's all fun and games till you see shit go down like in Egypt. You know, civil unrest, and people are like, no, the only way out is a fucking overthrow. Like, think about this though. I mean, I'm just kind of on a roll with polished thoughts here, but like what happened in Portland, like, you're Trump. Okay, you've been running a hard-nosed campaign. Like, I'm Mr. Big Dick with the big red button. I'm going to fuck up whoever crosses me. And then you have a coup, a literal military coup happening in D.C. and in Portland, where they're like, no, fuck government. We're going to do our own thing. Like, that is a policymaker's worst nightmare. Like, people questioning the government. All of a sudden, there's uncertainty in how things are being run. That's how military coups rise.
But wasn't our government kind of built also to question the government if it ever got out of hand? I mean, that's why we have like the Second Amendment. That's why that's in place. Is like always question if they try to start doing more than they should.
But then what happens is you have people that start leaning into the government more and more. Social Security, Medicare, all these public services.
Now, when those things are created, too many people are heavy into it, and even with the free checks that were coming during COVID. Now, so many people leaned into that. Like, I don't have to go to work now.
Yeah, so it's like you want to bitch about the overreach, but you appreciate the oversight.
That's the counter to that. Like, oh, I hate the government, but thanks for the free check also.
No, man, I'm a big fan of, hey, don't touch my fucking rights. Everything the way it is right now, I don't see any good reason for giving up any more ground on any rights.
It's on that paper. We're right there. Oh, did you hear about that with the Constitution?
Yeah. So wait, what is the details? Like, how do you buy the Constitution? So
it's a copy of it. It's one of the original 13 copies that they had, and so one was up for auction, and so this group of investors rallied like tons of people to turn in their crypto to buy it, and they got to like 47 million, I think, and they lost the auction.
Really?
Yeah, but it mainly came down to like we raised enough to buy it, but we weren't going to have enough to like take care of it, transport it. Like, you have to have an air condition. Like, think of like how much they do for the one in DC. Like, you basically have to do that with that document. And they're like, yeah, well, I guess that was part of the auction. Like, you had to show not only you had to buy it, but how much you could take care of it.
Take care of it
on the back end.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you ever been to DC?
No.
We should go. That'd be a wicked
That's a
trip.
week-long thing, by the way. You can't be like, oh, we're going to weekend. Like, that's
Luke and I went for a weekend,
week.
and it was like
nowhere near.
Couldn't even scratch the surface.
Yeah, I did it for a whole week for a high school trip, and we barely scratched the surface. We did a lot, but like, what was really neat was you have to book it, but we went to the White House. We got a White House tour, and we got a Capitol tour. But when we did the Capitol tour, I swear to God, it was his like last day, right? So we're like looking around, seeing everything, and then he was like, "Just come with me." It was like towards the end of the tour, and we like go through this like side door ish, which leads stairs down to the basement, right? So we're like, "All right, where are we going?" And so we start going down this hallway that like looks like your typical like 80s hallway of like military type of thing. And like we're walking by this glass window with people like in a break room. They're like seeing why is there a bunch of high school kids. And he starts just like trying to open doors, and they're all locked. And he's like, oh yeah, these are all secret doors that come down into this tunnel. And then we got to the last door, and it didn't open. And he was like, all right, well, we're going to go this way. And he opens the door, and it opens up to this massive tunnel. It's like a 2-lane road underneath the city. It's obviously the road that they use for transporting senators or whatever. That's what the one they use. And we walk about a mile, and then we pop out on the other side into this random building. And then we walked out, and we had another group with us. They ended up going a separate direction through the tour, and they're like, where'd y'all go? Like, once we finished the tour, we didn't know where y'all went. Like, we walked across the street to the library or whatever, started checking that out, and we're like, we don't even know where we came from. We were like, what the hell was that?
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, like, we got to see the actual, like, when they, like, with the Capitol, when they were getting raided, that's where they would have gone to and then dipped out, was down to that tunnel. And they have I guess every room has a secret door that pops in and goes, the stairs go down to the tunnel there.
You get that bonus tour.
That was that bonus tour.
Yeah.
I was like, this has got to be their last day. They didn't give a shit.
They're like, follow me. You're safe, I promise.
But yeah, it's worth every penny. But you got to do it for like a week. You can't.
Yeah.
I would even potentially, like, we had a self-guide person because we had like our high school thing. I would even potentially get a guide just to, like, they can be like, all right, here, because everything's pretty much like next to each other.
Yeah.
Like where it's at. And then you have to like follow schedules too, based on like the fallen soldiers and stuff like that. But it was neat. 100% y'all should do that. It's cool. I want to go back.
I mean, there's so much reverence for this country. It's like, that's when people when they get up in arms about, like, you know, trans rights, gay rights, you know, racism, all this stuff. Like, it is pretty fucked what's been built, you know, what we're built on. But this is, in my opinion, still the greatest country on the planet, based on the fact that we can make changes. You know, like, everything's built to be changed.
Country is based on a change.
Yeah.
From what it was, and being like, no, we're going to do our own thing. Oh, we're going to give, everyone can have a gun. You know, everyone has free speech. That's pretty wild. Like, when you go over to other countries and they're like, you can say whatever you want about your government. You're like, yeah, fuck them.
Fuck them, dude. I mean, that's the thing, you know, but bring it back to free speech, you know, free expression.
Yeah, I mean, as you were saying that, I was thinking of, like, Italy when I went there. Everywhere you go, like, you can't show any skin. You got to have, like, your shoulders covered to go into so many of the museums. I'm like, man.
In Italy?
I was like, man, I would be shunned. They would look at me as I was a disgrace with the things that I talk about.
You know, your creator, the one that made you, that has seen you naked.
A lot of
you
times.
You can come into the world naked, but you can't show your shoulders.
Right.
That's how Italy goes. Beautiful.
I mean,
country,
that guy at Bonnaroo pushed it. He was trying, but
which one?
The guy at Eminem, he was just butt naked.
Oh, hell yeah.
He was trying.
And he's letting God know I'm here.
What other, like, is there any, there really isn't any other place like America out there that, like, has I mean, Britain, maybe.
As far as, like, freedom
as much as we have.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's other countries for sure. I mean, there's the difference between, like, constitutional freedom and, like, fuck you energy from your people. You know, like, Australia is set up in a very similar fashion of, like, constitutional rights, but the lockdown is it still taking place?
Oh yeah, it went. You know what I mean? They cracked down even worse recently. Yeah, real bad.
So you want to talk about, like, dissemination of information? I mean, America is the fucking leader at, like, WikiLeaks and Edward Snowden, where it's like, we got the motherfuckers with the balls.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? So when you're talking about, like, DC and stuff, I brought up, you know, it's like, where are the fucking aliens?
Just tell us.
Spill the
tea, dog.
Just put it out.
But here's my polished thought. I think we've discussed this before, right? Like, arguably, if you had to name one role, one person on planet Earth that's the most powerful person on Earth, who would it be?
Out of everybody?
Out of everybody.
I would say
publicly.
The president.
The president of the United States. Right?
Yeah.
Pretty fair to say.
Yeah.
Right? So,
you know, the other countries get jealous too. The other leaders, like Putin's, like,
especially when Trump was in power.
Like,
you know?
We used to be the chiefs now.
Come on. Move over.
Come on.
Anyway, so here's my polished thought. I thought about this on a pretty good acid trip one time. So if we really do have aliens, you know, there's like the Bob Eager, what was his name?
Oh, man.
Doesn't matter. Area 51 guy, right?
Yeah.
Where he's like totally with it, you know, divulging all the secrets. All that. Yeah. So that's great. So my point is, the most powerful person on planet Earth that can wipe out anybody in anybody's family and it'd be an accident. Okay. Definitely got kicked out of office for getting his dick sucked. Okay.
Speaking of sex,
You know,
He just wanted a nice blowjob.
just wanted a solid blowjob.
Let the man have a blowjob.
Which, by the way,
Out of
if
all
did not
things,
have
that's the
sexual
worst
relations with that woman.
Fuck that.
if you haven't read those transcripts, there's actual transcripts of when he was getting his dick sucked.
What?
Swear to God, he took his cigar, dipped it in her pussy, and then sucked on it and lit it and goes, "That's mighty fine pussy right there."
That's gained my respect.
That is the only way I want you to talk about mine from now on.
Yes, ma'am.
In that exact tone of voice and everything.
Yes,
that's
ma'am.
it. That's it.
I did have sexual relations with that woman.
I did suck her pussy juice. So, my point is, you're going to sit there and tell me that Monica Lewinsky was willing to risk not only her life, her friends, and her family over giving a man a blowjob. Okay. That there aren't enough people out there that have touched those aliens that wouldn't risk it all to let us know, to give us some real fucking evidence of aliens, not just stories, some real ass radioactive hand shit.
From what Bob was kind of going over, I almost felt like if you really wanted to, you don't want to also lose that power. You're like, I'm actually getting to learn something no one else in this world is getting to. And you're like, if I start spewing this, I lose it. It's
Sure,
gone.
sure.
And then I come out and the government's going to do everything they can to shut me down.
Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, that's the caveat to that is like,
I mean, I'm all for playing devil's advocate on my own theory here. I'm just saying like that. So that's my theory, is that like people are willing to risk it over things that don't make sense. Making sure the world knows that we're not alone makes sense. That's something to be a martyr over. That is something to be like the person that let the world really know that aliens are a real thing and we have real evidence.
but what do you do with that information? Like, let's say you come out and you're like, oh, hey, there are aliens.
What the fuck was Edward Snowden hope would happen when he fucking divulged all those secrets?
But that then relates to everybody. Okay, I find out there's aliens. What am I going to do now? Do I wake up differently the next morning? Sure, there's aliens, but it's not like he's going to help me be able to bring in the next paycheck.
Hold the fucking phone. If you found out there's real aliens, you're gonna go about your next day unshook.
100%.
You're gonna make your fucking
what am I going to do about that?
You're gonna have an existential fucking crisis.
I don't think I would, because I already think
you serious?
I already think they're there.
Yeah.
So then I find out they're there. It's like, oh, cool. Now
Not
it's
there.
confirmed.
They're fucking here, man.
You know, I gotta kind of agree with Dylon on this. It's like, we know they're here.
It's just like,
We don't know, but we know they're here.
Mm-hmm.
So
now if my neighbor is like, oh, fuck, and he takes off his mask,
like,
like, oh,
oh,
shit,
fuck.
that's crazy. That's you. But like, if they already here, what are they going to do different than what is going on now?
But I think
Technically,
we can all agree that Elon Musk is definitely an alien.
that's definitely the closest thing.
Definitely.
for
He's
sure.
up there. He's
If
up
anyone's
there.
going to admit it first, it's Elon Musk.
Well, he's the one. That, I mean,
He said it's not there. He's
I
like,
trust
I
that
have-
motherfucker.
He did. He's like, there's nothing out there, guys.
He's
Elon
like-
keeps it real.
He's like, if there would be, I would have saw it.
Yeah.
He's like, we have done tons of research on that, and it's nothing's there. But then you had this guy Bob come out, and he's like, I have seen the aircraft that have crash landed, and I helped look at the engine or whatever that thing is.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that like there's probably technology that we don't even have instrumentation to pick up on. You know, like if you dropped a nuclear reactor 300 years ago, they're not going to know what radiation is, right? They're not going to go, oh, I can't touch that nuclear reactor. They just see people go up to it, touch it, and die, right? They don't have, you know, what are the little tickers? It starts with R. I'll think of it. But like the radiation detectors, like they don't fucking have that. It would look like fucking magic. It'd look like witchcraft.
I mean, according to science, right, with there's infinite possibilities of everything. That just means that there is another planet with a human life form, or not. It doesn't have to be human. Another life form on it, right? So because there is infinite possibilities going and going and going, that means somewhere out there is. Is it close to us in our galaxy? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But because of that scientific theory, somewhere out there's somebody out there.
What kind of sex do you think aliens have?
Probably like what's that Japanese like multiple tentacle
Hentai?
hentai, yeah. Where they're like, that's what I picture it for sure.
We get all the spots.
Yeah.
All at once.
All at once. Could you imagine like that cream pie comes out like
Fuck yeah, dude. Comes out their
their
toes.
bellies are actually built to grow.
Oh yeah, dude.
It's like Katy Perry when she had the whipped cream tits and the spewed everywhere.
Oh yeah, that was what we all needed when that happened. That was probably alien. She was like, "This is what we do on my planet." Like,
what we do on the planet.
I can't tell you this is what we do.
No, man, but think about how
It's a
weird it
hint.
is.
Yeah.
Like we kiss, right? Like, what would aliens do? You know what I'm saying? Like, kissing's weird when you think about it. Like the fact, I don't know, why does that release chemicals? Why do we enjoy it? It's just a thing.
Who's to say that aliens also don't look like us?
I'm not saying anything. I mean, I don't know. I line with
who's to say
octopus
aliens
boy
are
over
like?
here.
Who's to say aliens are kissing? Or like maybe they don't have lips or mouth, and what they do is they have like a little hole, and that's how they kiss. They just
Little
poke
belly
it.
buttons.
Finger blast each other's holes. It's like on their back
Yeah,
though.
yeah. But there's like 4 of them, so like that's how they hug each other. Like,
Dude, yeah, not one orgasm, but like a dozen at a time.
that's manifestation.
They
right
like
there.
blow little balls out of their body.
It's a manifestation. Oh man.
That's what we need to start manifesting. Some hentai alien tentacle porn.
Sure.
I think all the kinkiness though would probably be the same. They're like, oh, leather, yeah, we got that.
Pull
for
my
sure.
tentacles.
Yeah, pull the tentacles.
Fuck,
like,
yeah.
all that's gonna be the same. Slap,
yeah.
little clamps. You know, they're
Hell yeah.
gonna have all that.
All of it.
Some
You can't really change
celestial
that up
fucking-
much.
Just a
other
lot
than
more
that.
orgasms at once.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like physics.
a lot more to clean
Universal
up.
law.
You know, a lot more to clean up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's what you got spaceships for. They probably got like windshield wipers for the floor.
It's like
Floor wipers.
you know how like there's the UV that like hardens stuff, but it's like some kind of light that cleans it
Oh,
up, like burns it away.
Crust it, and then they just
Yeah.
shovel it.
Inhale it.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Hell, it burns.
Some alien cum
that's their
busters.
DMT. That's their DMT.
Yeah, dude.
Their cum is their DMT, and they,
They
burn
nut,
it,
dry it, and then smoke it.
smoke it. And they're
Fuck
like,
yeah.
That's definitely what it is.
What do you think
That's why
happens
they're
if-
so much farther than us. That's like,
Dude, what if we did that with our own? You think that's the secret? You think no one's figured that out yet?
Dude, that's
Like
probably
5-MeO
what.
DMT, where you squirt the frog juice on glass and you dry it and smoke it. We need to
Gotta be
do that with our
someone
own cum, dude.
That's why there's some crack out there. Is like, I have the answers. I have, and no one's listening to them.
No one's
Tried
listening,
it,
bro.
and It's wonderful.
Dude, this guy's smoking his own armament and no one's listening to the
Like,
answers.
going to the government, give me the Biden.
Well, it makes sense
to
because they used to sacrifice virgins, right? So if you're smoking your own dust, dude, you're sacrificing like a couple million at a time.
Yeah, that's a lot.
You can't get more connected to God than that.
That's true. Throw her down the stairs afterward. You're like, all right.
Bro, what if the government come gets us after this one, man? As soon as we publish this, they're like, fuck.
It's like the FBI meme where they're like, open the door, kicking us out.
The NSA is like scanning all the interwebs for this information. Fuck, they figured it out.
Figured it out.
We thought it was the meth heads in Alabama we had to watch out for. Smoking their own.
They're not sacrificing babies. They're fucking coming on plates and smoking it.
Yeah, that's what that trap house down the way is really doing.
100%. The Rockefellers.
Whipping them up.
The Rockefellers are like, they got the secret.
They got this.
That's how they become millionaires.
Biden's out there breathing heavy. Oh, this is fucked up, man. But I feel like we got somewhere with that. you know?
Yeah, for sure. Sure.
Everyone's got his gym. That's it right there, dude.
That's, I know Clint's like, that's a clip right there. That's the good one right there.
Oh, man. All right. Well, babe, you got any parting thoughts or words?
What can you say at Thanksgiving dinner and during sex?
Thank you.
You got something better in there than that.
This
Oh.
meat is busting.
Oh, is there not like a real?
There's not like a real thing. It's like,
Oh, okay.
what could you say during Thanksgiving dinner with your family and during sex?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
So moist.
I don't know, man. I would say more, please, but that's even that. Like, I'm tired.
Oh, so good.
I have to undo my belt.
Pass me that sauce.
Do you want more gravy? I think I overdid it.
Oh, there's got to be. Man, I am stuffed.
I need a break after that.
Oh, I need a nap.
And with that,
Happy Thanksgiving.
we thank you. Happy
Have
Thanksgiving.
sex. Manifest more sex.
From our house to yours, crack a wishbone. We love you. Abby, where can they find you?
On Instagram at Abbey K Rogers, Abbey, K as in kangaroo, Rogers.
Cool.
Should be like a tune.
I know, right?
All right, y'all keep your Army men off the plates. If you don't know us on Instagram, I'm at Colton DM. Dylan doesn't like you.
At Dylon Whitten. I love all of you.
And share this with someone you know and love. Hey, we're on YouTube as well. Check us out, TikTok, all the things. Check y'all later.
Woo.